Good morning, Wall Street winners. It is Tuesday, April the 23rd, and as we start our morning here pre-market at 7:38 a.m. Eastern Time, we can see that we've got some early morning earnings reports hitting the wire. One of them from Halliburton, which is in our oil sector, and they saw their best profit in 12 years. So that's going to bode well for what's going on in the futures markets and in oil today. We can see if in the Bloomberg app here, if we go to markets in the futures section, the futures of the Dow, S&P 500, and NASDAQ are all in the green, which has been the case for the last 6 days or so. The last week has been a bad week, and things shifted throughout the morning session or early afternoon into the red and ended lower. But yesterday, we saw a bit of a rebound in all markets, particularly in tech, as we enter that critical tech earnings week with some of the biggest names reporting. But Halliburton was one of the oil names reporting early this week. And at the end of the week, we've got Exxon and Chevron. So based on the results that we saw today from Halliburton, I think we're in good shape from an oil perspective. And if we scroll down to oil in that sector in our Yahoo Finance app here, what you'll notice is, first of all, at the bottom, crude was positive. It's turned slightly negative, but that's likely to bounce back into the positive today. Halliburton is up pre-market. It's likely that Halliburton is going to get up into the $42-$44 range, I would say, within the next 30 days. I don't expect it to do that today on a big pop upwards, but I do expect that all oil is going to continue an upward trajectory in the next 30 days, especially if we continue to see positive earnings out of the likes of Exxon and Chevron on Friday after market close. And then as we roll into the week ahead, we've got this week as well, we've got Valero. So 2 days out, I expect some good earnings coming out of Valero. So that would be a one to keep an eye on. And others at the same time. So 8 days next week, we have Marathon Oil. It's dropped down into the 27 range, being as high as 29, almost hitting 30. So if you're looking for about a $2 play there, I think you could be in good shape with Marathon Oil. Still a lover of Valero. And then some of the others here, you've got earnings tomorrow from Cenovus. It's almost at 29. It could definitely go to 30, 32, somewhere in that range. Again, not on earnings day, unless they blow it right out of the water, which I don't expect, but they could do it within 30 days as that continues to climb. And then SLB. So SLB, another one here, not reporting earnings at this point, but not now until July the 19th. If we move down to tech is really where things are getting heated up. Because we had a bad week last night, the NASDAQ and tech stocks were off 5 or more percent, some of them more, some of them less. We're seeing a recovery. We heard yesterday from Salesforce that they're no longer going to pursue the acquisition they announced a few weeks ago. So that shot the stock up at the beginning of trading yesterday by about $9. You can see that here in the chart at the beginning. It ended up $3.50. It's got further to go, but this is a stock that should easily get back to 300, if not the 310 range, within the next 30 to 45 days. So there's definitely a potential 10% gain in that stock in its movement positive. We're going to see some movement as well to the positive today in Palo Alto. This is a stock that, again, I expect to be up in the mid or low 290s, maybe high 290s, low 300s within the next 15 to 20 days. So if we look at this stock, reporting is a ways out, May 21st, but I do expect that they're going to have some positive news come their earnings report, because their first quarter earnings were a little weaker, and they're going to do everything in their power to make that up. Net is an attractive buy right now, Cloudflare being a cybersecurity play, very attractive at the price point that it's at right now, and it reports next week. So that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on. We saw ARM fall down, I think, into the 70s, 79 the other day, or extremely low. Anyway, it's bounced back and will continue to get back, I'm sure, into the hundreds prior to it getting to its earnings day, which we don't have on the calendar here, but it is coming up, I believe, in the next couple of weeks. Microsoft down at 400 is attractive. It comes out not tomorrow, I believe, but Thursday. I could be wrong on that. 2 days, yeah. So it's coming out Thursday with earnings. Don't expect that we're going to see anything but great news out of Microsoft with their AI integration into their Office 365 platform and a number of other offerings within their Azure cloud platform. Do expect some interesting and positive announcements out of those folks. And as we continue to move down, we've got IBM reporting this week. We have Amazon coming out this week. They just announced today a new grocery delivery subscription service for, I think, $9.99 or $10 round numbers a month for orders over $35. So that'll be interesting, coming from some of their providers like Whole Foods and Amazon Fresh, as well as some other locals that are on the Amazon platform. And then Meta. Meta is going to definitely make a comeback into the 500s this week. It's looking good pre-market. It's sitting down at a very attractive price point at 480, call it 482, as we go into the open. And then NVIDIA dropped significantly on Friday. It came back $33, about half of what it lost on Friday. It's still got a ways to go to make up that ground, but it also has a ways to go before it gets to its earnings release for the second quarter. And I think what we're going to see is, if tech earnings come out positive, it's going to pull up NVIDIA on the way to earnings. And if NVIDIA beats their earnings predictions and forecasts, it's just going to pop on earnings day. And then we've got Adobe climbing back slowly. The other one to touch upon before we go back down into banking, which has been a pretty hot sector as well, is Humana. So Humana is set to announce earnings tomorrow, and they are expected to beat on earnings based upon Zacks estimates. Zacks being an independent company that puts out their perspective on whether they feel companies will miss or beat on earnings. And I think at a $325 price point, $330 price point, it's a pretty attractive price point going into earnings tomorrow to look at that as a name to add to the portfolio for some upside and hopefully some relative stability, although it really hasn't provided that in the last 4 or 5 months. And then if we get down to banking, banking is still doing fairly well. We're starting to we're continuing to hear announcements from the different regional banks now, and there haven't been any super red flags, which is obviously very good to hear. And our big names, which dropped on fairly positive earnings, are starting to come back from those drops last week. So JP Morgan down at 180 is now almost at 190. M&T back up at 145, where it was after earnings, but then it dropped down to 137 and it's recovered. You've got Morgan Stanley climbing up today, probably to get to 93. And then Goldman Sachs had a great day yesterday, gaining $13 and set to go up slightly in pre-market. But this is a stock that we're likely going to see get to 445, 450 in the quarter if things continue the way that they are right now. So that's what we're looking at today on April 23rd. I hope you like the videos. If you do, please leave me a like, a comment, and subscribe to the channel. And